Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another SHOUTCraft Clan War right here on MLG TV. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I'm joined today by co-caster Nathanius. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, TotalBiscuit. I'm very excited to be here. I've been watching some of these matches. The maps are super crazy. I'm happy to finally be here to actually get more of a hands-on feel with them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff coming in on this particular Clan War, and of course all of them. We're using a bunch of really interesting, creative, community-made maps. So we've seen some really unusual games, we've seen some people who have obviously prepared, and then we've seen some people who haven't, and they've been completely screwed by the map. This is not a tournament you can enter without any idea of how the map functions and then just expect to do well. You die. You just get crushed.
Yeah, that seems to be like the cool trend, is that these maps really require a different type of preparation than most others, especially your standard Schmander WCS maps. And I'm very excited to see what happens.
Yep, as am I. Here's the lineup for today, folks. Last minute replacement. As you're probably well aware, JackG actually left mYinsanity, so he's now on Spenu. It took us, me and In Control, 2 hours to figure out how to pronounce that. We thought it was like, is it Espenu? Is it Spenu? It's apparently Spenu is how you pronounce it.
It's Spenu.
Spenu, yes.
Spenu. Okay. Like a bit of a, almost like a P sound.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, is it? Yeah, how's it spin you? I don't know. Oh God, it's the
close.
Worst.
Yeah, see, there we go.
It is the worst. Like, it is really bad. It's going to confuse commentators forever. I cannot wait to watch Pro League and see Wolf and Moonglade stumble over it. It's going to be great. Really looking forward to that. But we actually have a last-minute replacement. mYinsanity have fielded Smile instead of JackG, and he's gonna. This is a bit of a weird one. This is almost like one of those weird wrestling pay-per-view events where they decide for fun to put the managers in the ring instead of anyone else. In this case, we literally have Prime's manager, Gerard, is going to be playing on Engines of War, which is a crazy map. This is a ridiculous map that has 3 controllable cannons, and we've seen amazing games on it up to this point. But I don't know how Gerard's going to handle this map. I'm really curious to see how he plays. After that, we're going to be seeing what could actually be a classic on Suncross, which is a very big map. We're going to have Kean versus Kane.
I'm really excited for that. I'm a big Kane fan myself. They just did like the groups for WCS today. I know I'm going to be able to see Kane really soon coming down to California. And I think this should be an interesting one. You were telling me this is a pretty big map, so hopefully Kean can't cheese Kane too easily. And saying their names will, of course, be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we're going to mess that up, I can pretty much guarantee. Olivia's also telling me that apparently in Korea they pronounce it Subenu, which is completely different to what they said in the ad. I watched one of their ads and they had like the K-pop girls and all that stuff, and they pronounced it Spenu. It's like, I'm really confused now. Okay, well, that's going to be an ongoing battle. After that, we've got, on Kliskada, we've got TangTang versus Saxry. I cannot wait to see the TangTang supremacy. It's just the best name. Come on.
Yeah. TangTang is one of the cooler handles of the Koreans that have popped up. And, like, he's just, he's slowly taking some names here and there in Pro League. I guess, like, as his first big year playing on, like, these kinds of stages, can't expect too much from him. But I think going down the line, he's someone that I'm really hoping to see really step it up going into, like, 2016.
I think he's got potential. And then we've got the 2v2. It's going to be on Neo Skywalker, which is a great 2v2 map. BongBong and Creator taking on Penguin and Winter. I mean, on paper, that's a real mismatch, but the last time Prime played, they were actually the first up in the Clan Wars, and they bombed really badly against StarTale. So I hope they've put in a bit more prep time this time. They've brought out a stronger lineup, certainly, but the question is, have they practiced the maps?
Yeah, that's the key thing. 2v2, I've had the pleasure of seeing quite a few of them in the last few months. It's not a situation where having the superior 1v1 skill necessarily nets them that win. They really need a good strategy, especially considering the map.
I agree. After that, Legacy of the Void Beta, we're actually going to have a Zerg versus Zerg. I don't even know how ZVZ plays out in that. I mean, have you had any experience with ZVZ in Legacy of the Void so far?
It's a nightmarish experience. Yep. Like even after they nerf the Ravagers a little bit, it still comes down to like these massive pushes where if the guy gets a contain on you, it's so difficult to break it because not only are the Ravagers maybe a little bit worse, but they still have the caustic bio, which makes it so difficult to actually push into them. So they can kite you forever. And then I guess there's still a whole other can of worms with like I've had some really rough games playing against people who utilize lurkers really well. ZVZ feels a lot more dynamic if you can, escape the natural aggressive early game.
That's absolutely interesting to see. I have no idea whether or not it's going to be interesting to watch, but I guess we're about to find out. And then we've got BongBong taking on Winter. No, sorry, that's completely wrong. We've got Yoda taking on Rain. That's a match. That's a good one. We'll have a look at that one. Yeah, it's going to be on Neo Emerald Plaza, which is a more standard map, so that could be really wild.
Yeah, this I'm really excited for this one. This is like the match that really sticks out to me of all these. This one and maybe Kean versus Kane is like the ones I'm most hyped for. Yoda's got a pretty cool, good TVP style, and you know Rain is known for being like the solid, well-rounded player. And I don't have anything else to say about that match. I just want to see it.
Yep. Well, let's get into it, shall we? We're going to kick it off with Gerard. Okay, is it Gerard or Gerard? Do you know?
I've heard most people pronounce it Gerard. So
yeah, we're going to go with
Gerard,
I think. That sounds like a safe thing to do. And he will be taking on Smile. I have no idea what to expect from this. It's going to be, I believe, a Zerg versus Terran. I think Gerard plays Zerg. He does. Yep. Okay. So we're going to be starting the match off momentarily. I'm just going to check if these guys are ready. And then we'll go straight into the map intro, in which you get to see our wonderful little map fly across the screen for 30 seconds. Hear some cool music. And then we'll kick right off with the match. Smile confirms ready. And then we're going to have, I think his name is Need, which is a little bit strange. He calls himself Need. That's actually Gerard. He's ready to go. Countdown has now begun, folks. First map will be Engines of War. It's a fan favorite. Let's see how Gerard does. Will we get the upset? Will Prime's manager be able to kill Smile and force him into retirement? It's possible. We're going to find out right now. Here's your map intro. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Engines of War, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you, possibly for the first and maybe last time in competitive play, in the Red Trunks playing Zerg to the southwest, it is Prime's manager, Gerard. And his opponent to the northeast position, in the Blue Trunks playing Terran, it's mYinsanity Smile. And hello.
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah, cheese begins. Here we go.
Oh, so already a pretty aggressive, interesting way. The second SCV, like, what is it? What exactly does this cannon do?
He's hunting the Overlord, and he's gonna find it as well. He's gonna use it
to snipe the Overlord.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Watch this. It's so much fun.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. How have I not seen any games on this? That's amazing.
There we go.
Oh
That's a beautiful opening from Smile. I was actually expecting, because there's a couple of builds you can do as Terran that are really aggressive openers. And one of them is like a 2 barracks proxy next to the cannon, which is really powerful. But we've actually seen people beat it simply by, if you don't hold the cannon, they can actually grab it from under you and then target the cannon and blow up the SCVs building the barracks. We've seen that happen. But that was a really cool move there from Smile. He knew that Gerard would be sending his Overlord out to try and capture the cannon. So he basically intercepted the Overlord and blew it up with the cannon, which is great. I mean, that's a supply block for the Zerg early on. It basically denies all map control. Great start.
That's amazing. I'm already a massive fan of this map. There's 3 of these things on the map.
Yep.
Oh,
There's
man.
3 of them. If you select them, you'll see they do 150 damage. They also have the armor piercing aspect, which means that no armor actually does anything to them. So it'll do 150 damage to a Zergling. It'll do 150 damage to an Ultralisk. They have 50 range. They have a 6-second cooldown, but you have to manually target them. So they don't auto-fire. You've got to, actually target them yourself. So control of these cannons is a key factor in this map. But I've seen players get a bit cocky because they have a cannon. They think, oh, I've got the cannon, so I'm invincible. A lot of people just, figure out a way to go around it. Because if you don't have vision, you can't target something with it.
They can be killed, though, right?
Yes, absolutely. They can be killed and they can be captured. You send a unit next to it, it makes the cannon neutral again, and what you have is kind of a little micro dance of people trying to capture the cannon, because there's a couple of seconds cooldown when you capture it, so if you micro well enough, you can capture the cannon, turn it on the SCV, and then blow it up before they capture it back. It's pretty cool to watch.
That sounds pretty badass. It's going to be a Reaper opening out of Smile to follow this up, I guess. It's like the cannon makes it so if he were to open up... Wait, he can hit that Overlord too? No.
No,
he
can if he can find it.
Wow.
He found it. Right. That's really bad. So
he can hit it. Oh, man.
You see where Smile's patrolling? Smile's obviously practiced this map because where he's patrolling is exactly the range of that cannon. So I think he's using that patrol micro to show himself what the range is, which I think is really cool.
That is really awesome. So he has an amazing amount of control here. He can leave the Reaper right in front of his base, and he doesn't have to worry about being pushed back by Lings. Like, I guess manually targeting the Lings will be tricky, but with the Reapers already here, he can't bring a Queen, which means he could just back off and regenerate his health. He jumps into the main. At the very least, he can scout the gas, but this is pretty strong open.
Nathanius? Uh-oh. Well, hopefully he fixes his audio. Should hopefully be back shortly. But yeah, you're right. It's absolutely a really strong opening here from Smile. It was very well planned. But I do like Gerard's response. The correct response against this cannon, you might think, oh, well, this cannon's probably got a ton of AoE, right? It actually doesn't. The best response to a cannon is a lot of units. So to actually go like super speedling here is completely the right answer from Gerard. And he's gone early speed, so he's going to be able to clean these Reapers up and then take control of the cannon, which will give him map control.
There's no splash on it, right?
There is a very tiny amount. It's not enough to be significant. And the cool thing is, actually, the cannon takes a while to turn around. So he killed the patrolling SCV before the cannon could fire, and now he's going to take it. There we go. Now he has control of the cannon. So this is a great response here from Gerard. Fantastic. And actually, this natural is really vulnerable to this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how is he supposed to build a wall if the cannon can hit it?
Yeah, you've got to make the wall much, much closer. So he's going to try and defend with 3 Reapers. Well, look at how many Lings. There's 28 Lings on the field right here. Smile's going to have to lift this. So Gerard's not out of it yet. Like, I mean, you might think after seeing Gerard lose a couple of Overlords, oh, we didn't practice. That's not really true. Like, it's hard to learn this map. This is completely unconventional. So a lot of what you usually do, you kind of you can probably speak to this more so than anything, Nathanius, because you play at GM level. A lot of what you do, especially in the early game, is kind of autopilot, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you can play the similar styles on every map without worrying about weird stuff. And this qualifies as pretty weird.
Yes, yeah, it absolutely does.
His Banshee opening could also be really susceptible to this since he's taken all 3 cannons now. Like, he has a very limited area he can actually fly without being knocked out of the sky.
You're absolutely right, and they can hit air. So what I would love to see here from Gerard is for him to start spreading his Zerglings out to give him vision, and then if he sees the Banshee flying past, he can actually blow it up with the cannon. But what we're going to see here is a pushback with Banshee and Hellion. I like this move here from Smile, because not only does it shut down the Lings, but these guys are fast enough to not get killed by the cannon. Like, he might lose a Hellion, maybe 2, but he'll take control of the center area again, and he'll have a bit of map control. But he does have to be careful about getting into vision range. I love Gerard's Overlord placement here. Basically, anything that leaves is going to get shot by the cannon immediately because of this Overlord near his natural.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. And we can see that Smile's actually positioned his wall so that it's out of range of that cannon. He looks like he's going to try to make a push towards the center, though. He wants to take it back.
All right, well, the cannon's going to provide supporting fire, but bear in mind you have to manually target it, and it looks like it has AoE, but it really doesn't. So I would like him to see him shoot down this Banshee first, but it looks like he's going to lose control of the cannon before that even happens. So Smile retakes the cannon quite nicely. Smile's going to have to be a bit careful about where he moves, because, of course, these side cannons could do the job, but this is the counter push here, and Gerard might want to get rid of those, he's moved those drones to the front, which is maybe not a great idea. He's gone up to lair, but he actually has very little defense against this outside of a few queens, so this is a big, strong Hellbat push here, and these Lings are going to die pretty much immediately.
With the Banshee support and no detection, there's not a lot Gerard can actually do against this. The Hellbats are soaking up the sun easily.
Yeah, this is pretty damn brutal, actually, and I think this is probably going to be game. This push is devastating. He's got no creep spread here, so he's going to lose his queen before it even gets back to the main. And taking those cannons didn't really help him too much because this push just came in and obliterated him. So we've got a lot of Lings coming out, which are going to surround these Hellions at the back, but I think he's going to clean this up, but he's going to take so much economic damage before he does that I don't think it even matters.
I mean, the Hellbat tucked between the hatchery and the spawning pool. No amount of Zerglings. Like, you're never going to get a surround on them. The drones are all getting cooked, and I have to go with you on this one, TB. I think he's dead.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And Gerard had some nice ideas, certainly, but the counter push there from Smile was absolutely ideal. I mean, it's everything he needed to make that work, and that may be the last we ever see of Gerard in competitive play. I hope not, you know, because he had some interesting ideas, but that went pretty badly for him.
Yeah, that was still very interesting. I like that you pointed out the way both players set themselves up in the early game wasn't as susceptible as they could have been to the cannon play, like the fast Reaper and Hellion, that turret has to turn very slowly, and then of course not using things like roaches, which I think the cannon would have been able to completely annihilate as soon as he tried to leave his base.
Yeah, roaches are a really bad idea on that map, unless you've cleaned out vision before you send your roaches out, because the cannon can blow up roaches very easily and then move very slowly, so by the time the roaches arrive, you've probably lost half your army. Not what you want, really.
No, not usually the ideal strategy to walk out of your base and get wrecked by a cannon. But that was really cool. That was really, really cool.
It was neat to see, honestly. We always get an entertaining match on Engines, one way or the other. All right, folks, the next map is going to be Kean taking on Kane on Suncross, which is a pretty big map with a lot of spawns. It's actually an 8-spawn map, which is interesting, but you can't spawn close. So there's 5 potential spawn points, which leaves things open to potential cheese early game because of the ability to hide buildings and also like do some pretty weird early game builds that you usually can't get away with. So we actually see a lot of players try to gamble on this map with some really weird greedy build because they don't think their opponent will scout them. So we'll find out after the break, folks. You're watching SHOUTCraft Clan Wars right here on MLG TV, co-cast by Nathanius. We're taking a few minutes break. And when we come back, Kean versus Kane on Suncross. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Suncross, and it's my pleasure to bring you Prime's Kean. He is in the blue trunks playing Terran to the west versus his opponent to the east position in the stylish pink trunks, claiming to be the king of North America. For mYinsanity, his name is Kane. So what do you reckon? Is he the king of North America?
I mean, he has to be, right? He's the only guy that's actually come far in tournaments recently from North America. He had a top 8 finish, Kane, in WCS Season 1. He's actually, I think, one of the only actual Americans that have made it back into Premier League. One is after his challenger match pretty handily over Pilly Pilly. But he's there over the other top players that people would your normal considered top Americans, like Scarlet, like Huck, both players that were not able to make it through. Well, Scarlet not even the qualifier, and Huck barely losing in Challenger to Stardust. So I think Kane's, the only other person right now that can contest him from North America, I think that's in there, is maybe Xenocider, who still hasn't put up the same results this year so far.
No, Xenocider has been considered to be a hope for a while. I mean, ever since you won that big Chinese tournament, it was like, it wasn't WCG or something like that. I can't remember.
It was something in like Taiwan.
Yeah, it was like a $10,000 tournament that he walked away with a lot of money from, but he hasn't really put out the results, except in Clan Wars. He was actually one of the top performers in Season 1. I think he picked up 5 out of 6 victories, which is more than anybody else.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Kean has been playing around quite a bit in the Korean scene lately. So it's one of the guys I always like to watch because he's one of the more, tends to do cheeky stuff every now and again. What have we seen anything like really crazy on this map? It seems like the natural is relatively normal to take, but there's a lot of rock play involved, especially at the back of the main bases.
The last time we saw Suncross, we quite literally saw proxy hatch in between 2 bases. Like if you look to the west here, there's double back rocks. We saw a proxy hatch there and an attempt to attack through the back rocks to kill the base. Which would have worked. Except the guy forgot to put any defense at home and got killed by Hellions. Otherwise, it would have worked really, really well. Like, it was a really cool play. It actually would have killed the Terran, but unfortunately the Zerg died first, so never mind.
Fair enough. That sounds cool. It reminds me of a lot of in the Korean scene, especially. Like, we see all these people doing these proxy hatches that at first we were like, oh, Bjol did this against Marine King. Well, that was really weird. But now a lot of people are doing it against rock type setups as like a cheese. So always interesting to keep eyes open for those things.
Yeah, I mean, what's better way to bring down rocks than spine crawlers? You know, they're absolutely ideal for knocking them down nice and quickly. What do you think to this 3 Reaper play coming out of Kean here?
Well, I mean, the cliff leading into the main base is absolutely massive. Like, Kean's able to get right in, already picked off a drone, and these queens, like, these queens are going to be getting their daily exercise in. You need, like, 2 tumors to cover most of your main base. And I say most, like, I don't even think you could cover all of it.
Cancel, though, on the CC. That was a quick slow ling run by, actually, which did hold the Reapers back. It also gives scouting information to Kane, but it's nice to stop that command center from going down, certainly, but he is now going to have to deal with 3 Reapers, which, well, microed could do damage. I mean, you can even kill a queen that way. It's actually, we see Kane going for an extra queen just to try and deal with that.
Yeah, that's true. The cancel on the command center is pretty big. I still think that there's a lot the Reapers can do here since he didn't take gas, so no speed anytime soon.
Yeah, let's see how
Unless
much
he catches them.
Oh, Kane looking to try and get this around. He grabs 1, 2. That was lovely by Kane. He takes minimal damage.
Worth.
Yeah, that should have been far better than it was. And Kane's in a great spot now. I mean, he has spare queens, so he's going to have plenty of lava inject. His creep spread's going to be amazing. And Kean is looking to try and knock at the natural, but yeah. He's going to lose that.
That was actually... I was going to say, I'm like, man, this seemed like a really tense position. And then he just... Yeah, then Kane was just like, no, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Well, Kean just forfeited all map control. Right? And Kane is going to go crazy with creep spread now because he can. Eventually, the Hellions are going to knock on the door, but there's going to be eventually speedlings, and Kane's just building drones right now, and he can. Like, he's held this off with basically no losses. He's now got a huge drone lead over his opponent. He's now going Baneling. It looks like he actually has no intention of taking a... Actually, he might take a 3rd base down the bottom here. He's got a drone ready to do it.
He could get really aggressive. I noticed a poor lonely SCV stuck outside the south of Kean's main base. He tried to go up the rocks, but he didn't have the power. Oh, he's finally moving. That
is sad. There we go. He's now making his move. The little Hellion just come to check on him, see if he was okay. There we go. And now he's going to back off here. Now, 3CC setup here from Kean. After the Reaper failure, do you think this was the right call to try and play catch-up? Oh, we lost Nathanius again? Hello? Alright, he seems to have vanished. Hopefully he'll come back in a minute. In the meantime, we do have the hatchery coming down here, and the Baneling nest has cleaned itself up. We've got, what, 5 Hellions on the map? We're going to have 3 Marines backing this up, Stims on the way, and Barracks. I don't know how much damage this is going to do. I mean, there's not a lot of Lings, but there's a good amount of Queens, and the creep spread is ridiculous. So by the time these Hellions arrive, I don't see what they're going to get done. Nope, if you're there, Nathanius, I cannot hear you. Not sure what's wrong, but... never mind. Alright, well, we're sort of gassed for the timing. Hellions are going to try and get something done, but what are you going to do? I mean, you're already taking fire from the Queens. There's not enough Hellions to overwhelm the number of Queens. There are 10 Lings and 6 more on the way that have speed. This is completely shut down as far as I'm concerned. I think the only thing right now that Kean really has going for him is that 3rd CC, and the fact that he's going to be able to rapidly increase his worker count. But the problem is Kane's been doing all of this off bare minimum defense. He's on 60 drones. And he's getting double upgrades, and he's got great creep spread, amazing numbers of queens, and Kean is trying to poke and getting nothing done. Couple of creep tumors going down. And that's about all he's going to get, by the looks of it. Not really worth considering. He invested a decent amount in those Hellions. He got really nothing out of it. Looks like he's going to probably do a swap around and switch to straight up bio. His Marine count's going to get pretty large, yeah, sure, but he's up against great creep spread. He's up against Banelings. He's up against Lings, which are going to be 1-1. I mean, the Zerg opponent has an upgrade lead that's pretty vast over his opponent. And we've got a macro hatch coming down plus a spire. This is a classic macro game here from Kane. A really, really strong one. In fact, that's not even a macro hatch. That's just a 4th base. No, it's both. He's going macro hatch and 4th base. The Hellions are working on this base right now. There might... yeah, there's just enough Lings to push those away, but not to kill and surround. A couple of Banelings coming out here for Kane. We're going to waddle their way over to the 4th base and this is some of the silliest creep spread I've seen since Scarlet. Like, it is that good. How, you know, Kane's creep spread on this map has been fantastic. His defense is looking great. He has a supply lead over his opponent. He has still has an economic lead. Bearing in mind that Kean has been on 3 CCs for ages, and there's still an economic lead for the Zerg player. That's a statement right there. And Kean looks like he's going to attempt a 2-pronged attack, but there's now enough Lings and Banelings on the map for that not to really work out, I think. I don't see this really doing anything. There is a push coming. But, I don't know, 30 Marines? Maybe, but they can't engage off creep. The creep's halfway across the map now. There's the surround. The drop's getting very little done. And he wants those Hellions. I mean, good shots coming off here from Kean, though, but 3 of them get caught at the back, and that has been completely overrun here by Kane. Kean not looking his usual self here at this point. Not really sure what's up with him. He's going to load up another drop, but is he going to get much done? And I think drop play is not a terrible idea, but as soon as Mutalisks come out, that's just not going to work. Kean needs to make maybe a slower push, maybe get some more Hellbats in there, maybe get some Widowmines in the mix as well, but right now with just Marines versus heavily upgraded Lings and Banelings, nope, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see much happening there. Here comes the drop down to the 3rd base here, and he's loading up another one over there to the top. He should be able to get some damage done here, since the Lings are out of position, but response time should be pretty good here. So I don't expect too much to go down. Maybe if he puts a push on and gets the drop done. Well, he's backing off now. Alright, here come the Marines. Let's see how much damage they can do. 2 drones. That's not exactly incredible. And it looks like we're going to see a double load up here by Kean, who's going to try and stretch his opponent's multitasking. And some damage was done, but that drop is going to get now cleaned up entirely, and it's going to die. I mean, it looks like the Medevac might get away. Maybe. Because we do have this attempted drop, which is also being deflected here to the side. So I am not 100% sure how to really see Kean getting back into this at this point, other than to play super defensively, take a few good trades, and then get in from there. Now we're going to see a 2-pronged attack from Kean. He's moving in with a Widowmine as well. I like that little maneuver. That's potentially damaging. And there's the double drop coming into the back. So now we see Kean is starting to try and stretch his opponent thin. Responses are looking pretty good, though. We're going to see dead Medevacs. We're going to see dead lots of things here. And we see a cleanup on the Widowmine as well. That's gone. But this double drop hasn't been cleaned up yet. Here come the Banes. And now he's able to get rid of that. How much damage done? Minimal. He only gets 4 drones. Kean has been on point with getting his drones out of the way here. And Kean is just struggling to make anything happen here. He's looking for 2-2, which is great. But his Zerg opponent already has 2-2. He's going for Infestation Pit. He's probably looking for Hive. Maybe transition through to Ultralisk. And we see a big supply lead here for Kane. 110 army supply to 79. Great creep spread. I mean, incredible creep spread. It's about time Kean actually started clearing some of that up. It's over halfway across the map now, which is just ridiculous. Couple of Widowmines there. Nice pick-off. Lovely pick-off. Great control there by Kane. Takes out both. No problem whatsoever. There is a 3rd Widowmine there that's just kind of threatening, but now he can safely move in and kill that too. And all we see here is a bullied Terran. The Terran has no control. Kane has all the bases he could ever possibly desire. He's mining optimally. He's morphing in way more Banes because he can afford to. There's going to be more Banelings than Marines if... In fact, there almost will be here. You usually think that that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it looks like there actually will be. Look at that. 49 Banelings versus 60 Marines with that creep spread. Kean is going to have to split like a god to have any shot at it whatsoever. We have a drop there that's getting cleaned up. Again, it only gets 2 drones. 2 drones for 8 Marines is not a worthwhile trade. It's not going to do the job. We're going to see some creep cleanup here. There's a Spine Crawler up here now to defend up on the base. He does pick it off. So he invested a lot to do that. I'm not even sure if that was worth it. The amount of drops he's had to invest to make that happen. Yeah, it's going to slow down Kane's economy a little bit, but Kane's almost maxed out and he's starting to bank as well. So I don't even know if that's going to make a difference. Couple of Hellbats. They don't have Blue Flame or anything along those lines. We're seeing a Hive upgrade here, but 3-3 has started here for Kean. So it may be that Kean does get this upgrade lead. Nathanius is going to restart his Skype, and we'll bring him back in after this game. And he's producing Marines at a rapid rate, but I'm a bit concerned about just the lack of defense, really, against potential Mutalisk harass, and how exactly he is going to deal with that many Banelings with only 4 Widowmines. It seems unlikely, to say the least. Tries to pick off the Medevac, doesn't quite get it. The Marines are now just pushing across the map aggressively, and it looks like we're going to see a fight, but look at what Kane's got. It's ridiculous. Kane's setting up a flank. He's going to come in crashing from the side, and there's all sorts of opportunities here. There are a couple of well-placed Widowmines here for Kean, though. So we will see. Does Kane realize that the Widowmines are there? This is going to be an interesting fight. Few Banelings get in. not a great angle, but they do kill some Marines, so that's fine. The Widow Mines are on cooldown right now, so that's not going to help. And wow, he's just overrunning the Terran right here. The Thor gets obliterated immediately, and the Terran is sent scuttling back home with his tail between his legs. The Lings are just trying to get the surround, and they're going to get some of them. He surrounds almost all of the Marines. There's the quick hop pickup, but a few more Marines down. It looks like Kane just wants to go for it. He's got the Banes for it. Why not? Smash your way through. There's no tanks to stop this. And in he goes. He's in the natural. He's in the third. He's making his way into the main. He's cutting off reinforcements. There are attacks absolutely everywhere right now as Kane continues to hammer this home. There's an Ultra Den on the way, but I don't think it's even going to matter. There are drones dying at the back here, but I mean, the main base is overrun. There's add-ons dying. All of the SCVs are being killed as well. Reinforcements are being destroyed. Thors are being surrounded by Lings and obliterated. This is an absolute whitewash here. Kane played an impeccable game against Kean. It's ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculous how well Kane played that. There's GG. And there's another win on the board here for mYinsanity. And Kean fails to be able to stop the absolute swarm that came out of Kane there. Really impressive display from the North American Zerg player there. And Kean, one of the stronger players in Prime, goes down like a sack of potatoes. I have to wonder what exactly is going to happen. I mean, we've now got the strong Koreans coming out. We've got Saxry still on the board. We've got Rain still on the board for mYinsanity. How is Prime going to pull this back? Well, they're relying on TangTang, on Kliskada. We'll find out after the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wondrous Kliskada, and we do have, we're just getting back into the game right now, we do have Nathanius back. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Good.
I hit the hamsters a little bit harder than usual with the whip, so they're running faster and everything's good to go.
All right, well, here we go. mYinsanity brings out Saxry, who we haven't seen a huge amount of lately, but of course, you want a dream hack, he's pretty good. He's in the Blue Trunks playing Zerg to the southeast. Versus his opponent to the northwest position, the Slayer of Kings. In the Red Trunks playing Terran, it's Prime's TangTang.
We need to just give another shout out to TangTang for having that username, because it just sounds so ridiculous.
It sounds like a delicious soft drink, I gotta say. Like, I drink a can of TangTang. I think it's no doubt about that.
That actually doesn't sound too bad. It'd probably be like a citrusy type flavor, right? You think?
Yeah, orange, definitely.
Yeah.
Or maybe orange lemon mix. Delicious
a little lime in there.
Yeah, I love that.
I can dig it.
Well, the last map, obviously you did get to watch it. Unfortunately, you did disconnect from Skype. It was a massacre. I mean, Kane played a perfect game there.
Yeah, Kane's really good at ZVT. That was a really impressive showing from him, especially up against someone like Kean. Because that's like a matchup that Kane actually did pretty well off of in last season too, like defeating Bunny in his run at 16 group at WCS. I'm not surprised that he takes that win, but it looked pretty ugly, which did surprise me.
Yes, it was just brutal. I mean, I think after the 3 Reapers got shut down, it was all coming up Kane from then on in, because Kane had full map control. He exploited it thoroughly just to get all the creep spread he could get. And with that much creep spread, Lingbane Muta is super powerful. And even with 3 CCs, Kean couldn't get anything done. Like, he committed, I think, 3 drops to kill a hatchery. Lost 24 Marines and 3 medevacs to do it, and Kane's like, I don't care. I've got a maxed out army. I'm just gonna kill you.
And that reminds me a lot more of his qualifying match for last season of WCS when he beat Polt pretty convincing as well, using very similar aggressive style with those big counterattacks. But on this map, TangTang's gonna play a little bit safer. His command center, he's gonna build it in his main. He doesn't want to be vulnerable to any type of link pushes. I guess this is a pretty wide open natural.
It certainly is.
If Lings got by, you're going to have a hard time catching them, because if you leave a bunker or anything, then like you can't cover your ramp with a bunker.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a tricky situation. We've got a Reaper on the way up here. TangTang's going to have a look around. He's not going to get much done, really. There's going to be a Queen up already, and that's going to just pick away at that Reaper and say, get out. No, we don't want to see any of that. It's currently a gasless opening here from Saxory, so we're not going to see any speed, but of course he's going to double down on the queens. He's going to grab some more drones. Now, outside of that, this map, as you probably can notice, is relatively standard. You know, there's not a huge amount different here, but from your perspective, Nathaniel, like, is there anything here that would maybe trip you up as a Terran player?
I think the biggest stuff, like, you have the rocks that can block off the left side, so that looks like a pretty reasonable place to take a third. There's not a lot of area for the Reapers to jump up, so maybe getting mid-game scouting's a bit tricky. You have to use your medevacs more or scans. But it seems relatively straightforward. Like, I can see maybe if you're trying to do a big attack from the rocks on the natural, as a Zerg player with like roaches or something, or being able to also hit at that east side towards the third, or even the valley between the third and the natural. Then I guess it's a lot about multitasking. Like, you don't want to push on one front because this map looks like there's a lot of good opportunities for two-pronged plays.
Yeah, I certainly think so. We haven't seen Cliscarda too much. It wasn't really featured in the early Clan Wars, so we're just really getting a feel for it. But it's one of the more standard maps in the map pool. We don't want to go crazy with absolutely everything. Saxory is going to put up a Roach Roar, and that's actually going to get instantly scouted here, so the Reaper's probably not going to get out alive, but I don't think it really matters. He's seen the Roach Warren at the front, so he's going to start to think about getting a defense, but hey-ho, TangTang going for Hellbats by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is really interesting. If he didn't, he saw it, but you know, there's the question of did he really, did he click on it and confirm? Because it could be a Baneling nest as well, and he gets up close and personal. Yeah, he clicked it. He definitely knows. That's very, very important. But this push, he's still looking to do a lot of damage before the Roaches even become a part of this, because the Roach Horn's just now finished, and they're only drones on the production tab for Saxory.
Yeah, you're right. He produced 9 drones. He didn't have the lava to produce any more than like 3 roaches. So he's going to be relying on the Queen and Double Evo Wall-Off, which, against a concerted Hellbat push backed up by Marines, probably isn't going to work. There's even a medevac there as well, so that's going to make it even harder to deal with.
Yeah, this should be a very difficult to hold push for Saxory. Like, he needed to start a spine crawler like 40 seconds ago if he wanted to have a really good chance of holding this. This is going to be really tricky.
Yep. I thought TangTang was actually going to keep a couple of Hellions at the back, which is not a terrible idea, because they can shoot from the rear when they can't get in range otherwise. Nice kiting so far from Saxory, however. Of course, he does have the benefit of creep. That was a messed up transfuse. He was trying to save that roach. He didn't get it. TangTang is doing some damage here, but this push has actually been pretty well blunted.
He's not taking any economic damage, which is the most important thing. And he didn't lose his queens either. So by still having the queens and his drones, he can, of course, afford stuff and build stuff with larva injects.
Yep, he's going to get a few drones. He got 4, and then unless he's... Oh, whoa. Tang. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Boost. They put those afterburners on the medevacs for a reason. You got to get the hell out of there. And now there's SCVs.
What the hell is going on? Why are all these SCVs on the map? What is he doing?
It's happened to me before. You're like trying to rally everything across the map to reinforce, but then you accidentally rally your orbital commands.
Did he actually rally his orbital across the map? Is that what happened?
I think I have to imagine that's why 4 SCVs ran across.
God, that's a disaster. I mean, losing that drop for no reason, then losing like 5 or 6 workers because for some reason they wandered out on the map to try and have a little bit of sightseeing tour? That's horrible. And TangTang gets 5 drones here with the Banshee. Thankfully, he remembers to actually pull that one back. But look at this! Look at what Saxory's doing! He's actually creating creep at the side of the map. He gets the snipe! What a move! Those queens shouldn't have been there! Like, that's insane! I've never seen that.
This is some really cute play coming out of Saxory. I really like this. This helps you get such a forward position in the creep spread. And it's also going to make things awkward. Yeah, these Hellions.
They're not going to get away. Saxory is aggressively moving forward with these queens and spreading creep, which you generally don't see, like creating these islands of creep here. Really cool moves from Saxory, and it killed the Banshee on the way out, which was just a huge maneuver.
That's just like that. You couldn't even script that. Like nobody. No. He did. Like there's no universe where he says to himself, "Oh, I'm just gonna walk these queens out here because I know Banshee will eventually fly by for a last hit." It's like no, that was just that was a happy accident.
But you got to admit, like, he was on point to catch it. And now here come the roaches. There is a Banshee to defend here, so that will help. But the bunker is going to fall pretty quickly. One more volley should. Actually, no, he got enough SCVs. No, there it goes. And there are a few Marauders, but they're getting, like, 1 shot at this point. There's no medevacs to back them up either. And now workers are falling here. Is this going to be a 4-0? I mean, this is looking pretty likely. mYinsanity are walking all over Prime right now.
This has just been, yeah, it's just been bloody murder all the way through. Like, he's got the Banshee, but there's so many roaches. He lost everything in his natural. The command center is lifted. 1 base versus 3, and now starting to lose his add-ons in the main. This shouldn't really be a recoverable position for TangTang.
I don't think so. Yes, you might have killed Zest a while ago, but that missed micro was unforgivable. And yeah, Saxon's going to lose the roaches, but he doesn't care because he's trading. He's trading against an opponent that has a third of his economy. So he can do that 50 times over, and TangTang can't stop him. It's that simple.
Yeah, TangTang's broke. And guess what else? There's creep right outside TangTang's base now because
This
those queens have been pushing so hard.
This is nuts. I've never seen... This is the fastest creep spread across a map I've ever seen from anybody. Like, Saxory's maneuver, I'm surprised we don't see more Zergs do that, because that is ridiculous.
Oh, these medevacs are going to fly right into these queens, so he's not only going to chip away at them, but he knows they're here.
Yeah, I think they're going to drop, and I mean, the one queen will die, but the second one is going to as well. Actually, the roaches are moving it now. The queen's going to die, but hey, I mean, it's a couple of dead queens that were spare anyway. Who cares? Like, Saxory doesn't care. He delayed that drop. He knows it's coming. His creep spread is at the natural at this point, so he can move wherever he wants. He has full map control, double the army supply, triple the economy. I don't see any way of TangTang getting out of this. Like, he's delaying the inevitable here.
He's trying, but now that the Mutalisks are out, they can get to work on these medevacs, and without those, this bio loses so much of its... Oh, it's the fully loaded one!
God damn, that's horrible to watch. And Saxory's going to chase down the other one as well, because the boosters don't last forever, and TangTang's going to lose that as well, and that drop was basically his army.
That was... Saxory, he's just been playing ball this game. It's actually been really, really a treat to watch from the mYinsanity Zerg.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. We saw some really cool innovation. It's obvious that Saxory's practiced the map and came up with this really interesting way of spreading creep that's been super effective. And it's made it impossible for the Terran to even leave his base.
Yeah, he immediately knows. As soon as TangTang steps out, it's like, yes, you've killed a tumor or two. Well, now I know there's nothing here to defend. So you get Mutalisks even killing Marines because there's just so few of them.
Well, yeah, it's great. It's great to catch
the natural.
Yeah,
I mean, why would you?
It's
natural at all.
It's too much of a risk. He doesn't even have enough SCVs to saturate his main, let alone his natural at this point. There's a bunch, I mean, I wouldn't even say a bunch. There's a pitiful handful of units that are now moving across the map, which are now going to die to Banelings by the looks of it, because there are plenty being prepared for this. To be fair, the Lings could just kill this. Like, there's just not enough. TangTang's losing the rest of his army. He's getting brutalized.
Yeah, he didn't even have +1 armor on those Marines. GG.
Oh man, this is not Prime's day at all. I don't even know if this is a practice issue from Prime or whether or not it's just mYinsanity just brought the A game today and really put in more hours before the clan war, because Prime, maybe they know the maps, but it's obvious that people like Saxory know the maps well enough to be able to execute unique builds that are catching their opponents off guard.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing is it doesn't necessarily seem as much that the Prime players are really making huge mistakes, but just the mYinsanity team has they really showed up today. Like, they all had their own little ways of preparing for the maps, especially Smile in map number 1. They're on fire.
They are, and this gets even worse next, because what we have is a 2v2. Now, historically, the Koreans have done terribly in the 2v2s. This is something that foreign players practice a lot more. 2v2, of course, is not really... I mean, it's hard to not call it a competitive format, considering you actually ran a big tournament for this. But it's a format that is not as well known. It's not as well explored. But I tend to find that foreigners play it a lot better. So I don't know if BongBong and Creator are going to be able to pull it back from here. This could be our first all-kill of the season. And Prime are not looking good here. Not at all.
No, this has just been a really, really difficult match for them so far. And if Winter and Penguin have thought about a build as well as any of the other, ones that their teammates have used so far in this clan war, then I have to just straight up give them the edge, despite the fact that BongBong and Creator are very good 1v1 players, because I just get the feeling that they don't have this like strategical, I don't even know what to call, like, melting pot of ideas that the rest of the team seems to have put together for this clan war.
Yeah, that's very true. We're going to take a short break, folks, and then we're going to come back. It's going to be on Neo Skywalker. Can Creator and BongBong save their team from utter embarrassment at the hands of Fiery mYinsanity today. Well, we're about to find out after the break, folks. You're watching SHOUTCraft Clan Wars Season 2, brought to you by MLG TV. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming into our next game right here, which is going to be on Neo Skywalker. We got Creator Prime and BongBong trying to hold the line against Winter and Penguin. It's going to be a PvZ versus a PvZ. I'm not so sure. I'm a bit worried for them, I gotta say.
Yeah, this has not been a smooth ride by any means for Prime. They have been, well, they've been getting slapped. Basically, to put it simply, from so far, like down 3-0, they gotta, as you said, hold the line right here.
Yep, they need to win every game from here, and that's going to be very difficult for them to do. I mean, even if they pick this up and win Legacy of the Void, they still have to deal with Rain, who is waiting on map 6 for Yoda, so it's a tall order, let me put it that way. If they can pull it back from here, it'll be a fantastic comeback. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. It's going to be very, very tricky for them by the sounds of it. So hopefully Creator will actually load. That would be nice. There we go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Taking a bit for him to get into the game, basically.
All right, there we go. All right.
We did it.
Here. I'm so proud of them. All right. Well, let's see if they can actually make it happen against mYinsanity's Winter in the purple trunks, playing Protoss. Not that Winter, the other Winter. And his teammate, mYinsanity Penguin, in the green playing Zerg. Versus the Prime team to the top, we have Creator in the blue trunks playing Protoss, and his teammate BongBong in the red trunks playing Zerg.
All right, this I'm curious. It seems like this map you can like close off at several points.
Yes.
Always to reach your opponent with rocks, right? Like it's very severable.
Yep, but there's another thing that's a little bit scary about this map. If you have a look at the gold mineral patches, you might think, oh, there's a gold in base, a Pocket Expo on gold, that's amazing. Yes, unfortunately, it has two very fragile cooling towers either side. If they collapse, they actually destroy the minerals entirely, so they're vulnerable to harass. Yep, it wipes the whole base out. Potentially devastating.
That's cool. I thought it would just like block them, so you had to kill them to mine again.
Kills them entirely. Yeah, destroys them entirely. Fun. Pretty rough. Apparently that's just what they do in the map editor. I mean, obviously no maps are generally designed with rocks to fall over minerals, but if rocks were to fall over minerals in the code, they wipe them from the map entirely. They don't just cover them. There's actually no functionality just to cover them. They were never designed to work that way.
That's pretty crazy. I think it's like possible to place existing debris on top of them in the editor.
Yes.
Because there's been maps where people have done that, but I didn't realize that there's no like on-off switch type play for this.
There doesn't appear to be, but one way or the other, those cooling towers are vulnerable. We did see Axiom lose the cooling towers to a Marauder drop from Marsa in their game versus Root, and that actually cost them the match because they were reliant on that income. They lost that base, and then they ended up way behind. So it's a risk-reward. You can take the base, but all the gold bases on the map have exactly the same caveat. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made, but if you don't defend those cooling towers, you're in trouble.
Very interested to see where they go with this, because if you can split it off, you know, the forward aggression so easily, maybe that will lean towards if these players have really put in the time to study the maps, which you've seen that mYinsanity's done a good job of so far.
They obviously have.
Maybe it'll be some fast airplay is an option, since you can block off with rocks against early aggression pretty easily, and there's just so many damn cooling towers between you and your opponent.
Yeah, Banshee and drop play is really strong on this map, and we've seen quite a lot of it. We've also seen, of course, Terran go for things like tank play, but we're actually seeing a ZVP versus a ZVP here. And that's not a matchup that I've seen on this map yet. In fact, it's not a matchup that I even see that often in 2v2. So the dynamic here is going to be a bit weird. We see the Zerg player taking the gold. That makes sense, you know, nothing unusual about that. And then it looks like Winter is actually keeping an eye on that back base, the pocket there, just in case Creator decides to try and grab that.
I think that's really smart. You know, one of the interesting things that I've seen, at least out of like high level 2v2 play, if these guys have really studied and from the Stargate opening that I'm getting out of Winter, I'm kind of hoping to see this, is a lot of Phoenix play is just so good in 2v2 because your teammate can kind of defend you against counter pushes, but then your Phoenix can just rip the other guy apart since usually their units are so spread out because there's, you know, twice as many bases to harass with your Phoenix.
Yep, that's very true as well. This Stargate is on the way here for Winter. This wall-off looks pretty solid, and BongBong's going to knock on the door. I don't know what's his plan. I mean, what does he what's he going to try and accomplish here? He actually does make his way into Winter's base. It looks like there was a way in, and the wall-off was not sufficient. We'll see how much damage he can do here. I mean, this is actually not a bad start here for BongBong. He's killing a lot of probes.
Yeah, he's got a nice little bit of damage done in here so far. He's trying to get to work on these pylons. I mean, you know, the nice side of things is that Penguin can send his lings to come help. Penguin's queen has made the journey from the gold base to defend.
Quite the odyssey, that one. And look at the amount of lings BongBong put on the field. That's huge. I mean, he grabs the gold base and makes sure he can just take out queens. He's doing damage to Penguin. And he's being attacked certainly by Penguin's lings. They might be able to clean this up eventually, but this has been a good initial push here, and there's more on the way.
Yeah, that's been actually quite a bit of nice aggression. Like BongBong and Penguin have similar drone counts now. They both have the gold bases, but this queen's gonna get caught. The Phoenix not here to really defend either.
Not that the Phoenix could do much against that many lings anyway, and now we're seeing a bit of probe micro to try and save it, and he's able to save the probes for the time being, but BongBong's being a giant pain in the ass with these.
He just decided to nix the Oracle, I'm assuming, so he doesn't have anything that can really deal with lings in high numbers. While he's killing some overlords, which is nice. Penguin and BongBong are basically playing ling wars here.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually
a lot of them.
I like the decision to go Phoenix because the best way to stop a player who's just flooding lings is to kill the Overlord so he can't do it anymore. So I think that was a decent plan, but I don't think it slowed him down enough. And we're still seeing a lot more coming out of BongBong here. Well, actually, never mind. BongBong is still supply blocked. So I don't even know if he realized he was. He's building 3 Overlords now, but he got shut down there pretty hard.
Penguin got a really nice surround on top of BongBong's lings by the gold base, but, you know, he just took so many worker losses. And BongBong still hasn't actually replenished any drones. He has to, of course, rebuild the Overlords, as you mentioned, which was a really, really nice +1 that Winter was able to give him since he completely cut it down. But look at Winter actually started up a second Stargate. So he's going to be playing super, super heavy Phoenix. I'm already getting flashbacks to the 2v2 cup from a few months ago.
Yep, and here comes a counterattack. A lot of lings on the way here. They're going to make their way to the pocket gold and probably kill a queen by the looks of it, and certainly do some damage. And Creator's very slow forces aren't really getting much done. BongBong moves in some lings to try and... Yeah, it looks like he should be able to throw this back for the time being. This Phoenix is just being a giant pain here.
He's killing all his Overlords!
Yeah, I mean, there's no Overlords here for BongBong, so he's not really able to replenish. He's going to try and take this queen out as well. It looks like he should be able to get it. I mean, Creator only has a small amount of anti-air, and BongBong has none. So
there's no spores. There is nothing here that can do anything about these Phoenix because, as you said, the Protoss army's too slow.
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy.
It's dancing between both bases, and I mean it's Zergling Phoenix, which is like the fastest composition in the game.
That's a bit of a doozy to handle for the Prime team.
Creator is going DT, and he does have DTs on the way here. Quick engagement by BongBong is sent packing, however. And detection, there isn't any. So, if Creator actually attacks right now with DTs, which he's not, he's inexplicably... What is he doing?
He's just going home to defend with the DTs,
Why didn't he just warp them in then? Why didn't he just warp them in at home instead of warping them in across the map?
I think it's because of the wall. I think he rallied them in there, but the pathing is making them walk all the way around the entire map.
And he didn't notice?
To his own base.
Oh my god.
Winterwald is made off, so the DT AI...
And he didn't notice?
He could have just sniped the pylon. He could have just killed it.
That is astonishing from Creator. That is like... Is he even awake? I mean, that's the level of play you would expect from me, not from a pro gamer. And, I mean, the DTs are still going to... And Penguin now knows the DTs are there, because he saw the blur. Like, these DTs are going to hit a minute later than they should have. This is ridiculous. Like, what a botch from Creator. It's like he doesn't even care.
Yeah, the pylon was really close, but the wall just completely distracted him. Now the DT does get inside of Winter's base. I mean, with the spore for Penguin, he's safe. He has to wait until he gets an Oracle out to detect this, and now it's done, so he's safe.
This is ludicrous. This could have hit so much earlier. And you're right. I mean, he could just run to the pylon and killed it. Like, the wall is down there, and he evidently just didn't notice. And then he walked all the way across the map and just didn't micro his units, which is like a rookie mistake. That's like not what you'd expect from Creator. Look at the lifts, my god. Winter just lifts half the Stalkers out into the air, and Penguin looks to try and get the cleanup. Is this going to be a 4-0? I mean, Creator's still fighting. He's still got a decent amount of Blink Stalkers here, but... And there is a DT, which is actually not getting much done. Did Creator just blow up?
He didn't target.
I think Creator just killed one of his own Stalkers.
Really weird.
That's
also pretty weird. And the Phoenix are running out of energy, but the one DT still alive. Mothership core of Winter is taken down, but you know it's all at this point about just getting out more and more units and buying time, because that obviously, aside from units, gives energy to the Phoenix.
What exactly are these guys even doing? Now he's going to go and try and kill the Queen, and he's able to get it, and he can also go and kill these Stalkers as well. But there's still very little detection available, so these DTs are doing work, and the Stalkers are still fighting strong, and it looks like finally we might see Prime actually come back into this. But
yeah,
they almost botched it. They really did.
They managed to do a lot of work with this push, and I mean, Creator could still be trying to use the DT that now Penguin has an Overseer, and as the Phoenix count gets lower and lower, the Stalker count seems high enough for Creator. Like I think Penguin should be pretty much dead at this point. There's nothing really here from Winter to help at all.
No, it doesn't look like it, and Prime looks like they might pick up a win here, but I'm still not confident in them because, frankly, they're picking up a win against the weakest players that mYinsanity has. And there's the GG. They do manage to put one on the board here, thankfully, but that's Penguin and Winter. Like, that's not a top team by any stretch of the imagination, I would say. You're not playing against mYinsanity's top players, so I'm very worried for Prime going into the rest of the series. Like, they've got a shot at it now. They've at least gained some momentum, but that was... I mean, that was almost a disaster. Creator almost threw that.
Yeah, it really came down. I think really think even killing the DTs would have helped, because the DTs that he had left, I was like, oh yeah, they died so quickly, but they were actually there, like slicing away like about a dozen Zerglings during that engagement. Even got one of the Stalkers. I'm like, just lift it. You had vision, which was even made more impressive by the fact that the DTs walked all the way around the entire map just to get there.
I don't even know. That is insane. I mean, that game was just a comedy of errors on both sides, really. That was probably the best way to describe it. It looked like Winter and Penguin had a decent shot. I mean, they were going with a Ling Phoenix style, which was doing economic damage, but I think it was because Creator was able to keep his economy intact, and it didn't really matter what BongBong did as long as BongBong provided Ling support, and he did. So then the Stalkers were able to bring in, and the DTs eventually, once they had their grand tour of the map, they came in and did the damage. But that was a very strange game. That was not an optimally played game at all.
Yeah, that was it was messy on both sides. I still like the idea behind the Phoenix Ling opening. Just the execution for the follow-up was a bit too sloppy for his taste.
Yeah, it was. It was sloppy, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I don't necessarily blame the mYinsanity team, because, as we said, that's not exactly mYinsanity's strongest players. But hey, ultimately, at least there's one on the board for Prime, so we're going to get to see another game. Will they be able to continue the comeback? It's going to be... I think that, again, this is a mismatch, but it's a ZVZ and Legacy of the Void, so who knows? BongBong versus Winter coming up next here on SHOUTCraft Clan Wars. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SHOUTCraft Clan Wars. It's time for Legacy of the Void here. We're switching over our maps this time around. We're actually going to be moving into Echo LE. We played Coda last month. We're now moving on to Echo, and Echo is going to be our Legacy of the Void match for the rest of the month. What do you reckon to Echo as a map in Legacy of the Void, Nathanius?
I don't mind it. It's a pretty good map. I like it in Heart of the Swarm a lot as well, mostly because you've got your standard 3-base setup. At least when I play Terran, like I think of this as like a pretty reasonable mech map. But for ZVZ, it's just very straightforward. You know, the best part about 2-player maps when you're playing Zerg versus Zerg is you don't have to worry about early pulls as much, because your Overlord can always check what your opponent's up to by either watching the normal pathways in the center of the map or where units would be leaving or coming from.
Yeah, it seems like a fairly solid map overall. It's difficult to figure out, of course, because we've got constant balance changes going on, and the most recent balance change to Legacy of the Void did hit the Ravager pretty hard on the head with the Nerf bat.
Yeah. What I'm imagining is, like, I guess ZVZ can still be a lot about the roaches, especially now that Ravagers are still not necessarily terrible to build, but most ZVZs that I've watched, like, if one player can get to Lurkers, that roach phase is It's pretty much over. Like, lurkers are obscenely strong against basically every ground unit.
Yes, that certainly seems to be the case one way or the other, and we'll see what happens in this match and whether or not lurkers actually do come into play. May end up being a very short match, we'll see, but by the looks of it, we've got both players expanding. They're just slight differences in terms of the way that they did it. Winter started off with a later pool than BongBong, but got his gas up a little bit earlier. We see a gasless start from BongBong into an extractor right after his pool, so ultimately that doesn't actually make a huge degree of difference one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that too much to look into just yet. Since neither player is opening with an absurdly fast speed, like the first player to have speed will be Winter, but if he doesn't get crazy aggressive with it, and I don't think it's easy to be crazy aggressive since you start off with so many workers, it's generally easier to assume that you can make it to something like that 15 hatch style, or you don't have to worry about as much early defense, so you actually end up being also better prepared for mid-game pushes because you don't have to worry about sacrificing any economy at the start of the game.
Yep, that's very true. And it's always nice, of course, to see this game kicking off a little bit quicker with the 12 workers. We still have Blizzard considering whether or not to change the economic model. One way or the other, I do like the 12 worker start. Whatever they do with it, I certainly hope that they keep the faster start. Either they do it with workers or they do it with this double harvesting model that I believe Team Liquid is actually running a small tournament for to try and figure out whether it's any good.
Yeah, I think they had one like maybe like an hour or two. It ended like before we started. But I like this economy model a lot more personally. Just the pressure to expand gets really crazy because it just you're so constantly moving your units around between your bases, like your worker saturation, and you're so constantly like losing a mineral patch here and there. It's very difficult to stay on a steady 3-base economy. So you always have to juggle like where you're investing into your production because you can't always afford to make everything at once. And I like the stress that puts on the players a little bit more. But the Lings came in for BongBong. They got some scouting done. He didn't see the spawning pool itself, but he knows that the gas is being mined. If he clicked on the extractor, then he knows that speed should be close because he's mined a lot of gas off of it.
Yep. And of course he knows there's a Baneling nest up there, and we see a Roach Warren response here from BongBong, which is great, but he's also building 20 Zerglings. I mean, what do you reckon to that decision after spotting a Baneling nest? Do you build 20 Zerglings and then follow it with Roaches? I mean, what is the deal here? Because Winter's actually going for a quick lair.
Yeah, and this could be a really good aggressive play. Because Winter built the Spine Crawler, maybe that like signaled to BongBong. It's like, oh, okay, this guy's gonna actually be defensive, even though he's opened up with the fast speed, because the Spine Crawler is his way of saying that he doesn't intend to leave his base oftentimes in Zerg versus Zerg. And even the other thing that I think BongBong could have done was maybe get a second gas that he could build some Ravagers out of the Roaches that he could build. But even still, this could be pretty tricky if the Roaches are able to snipe the Banelings, but I don't think he actually has moved any of those out on the map.
No, it doesn't look like it as of yet. We see no Roaches whatsoever. There's the double Spinecrawler cancel here from Winter. He's confident that he can hold what BongBong's sending, and he's right. I mean, he's got 3 Banelings and 13 Lings versus 16. That's the right number. He hasn't overcommitted. He has managed to somehow get supply blocked. I believe Wandering Queens managed to spot a Overlord on the other side of the map. We actually have Winter aggressively pushing this back and saying, look, I've got Banelings backing this up. You better recognize. Get the hell out of the way.
Better recognize, yeah. Well, the thing is, if we just think about what Winter saw as he's continuing to push back across the map with these Banelings, Winter's Overlords didn't see any Roaches. So there's a lot of Lings here, but I don't see any Roaches, which means I don't need those Spine Crawlers. And this allowed him to just be so comfortable in pushing across the map because he knows, okay, maybe now you built Roaches or something like that, but I have enough time to get whatever I need back home to defend anyway.
Now, what do you reckon about this early lair? Well, I think that there's maybe the answer coming in. Winter is looking for speed Roaches. Do you think we're going to have to see some Ravagers in that composition, even though they've been hit hard with the nerf pad? Like, Ravagers are more of a support unit right now, and they're pretty effective as one as well. It seems like in Zerg versus Zerg in the Roach Wars, Ravagers would be a great addition.
Yeah, just having a couple of them is really, really useful to zone out any aggressive forces, but maybe he doesn't want to make that gas investment since they're not particularly cheap in that area.
No, they're not.
This third base, though, I do believe that Winter wants to defend this. If he's able to somehow save this base, it would be done so much faster than BongBong's. He'd have a pretty considerable lead, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be possible.
No, I mean, he's getting a nice little cutoff here against a couple of these Roaches, but and he's got double spine to back this up, so there's no way BongBong can break the natural, which is why it's a bit of a weird decision that BongBong actually backed off, but he's going back now, so he's going to kill this base. face. There's no doubt about that. Whether or not he's going to get away is a different matter, because roach speed is about to be done. If Winter realizes that and continues to chase, he's actually going to be able to pick off some roaches on the way out.
He's got a pretty potent force, but having that third base canceled really does hurt since BongBong's third is now complete. Other things aside, it's also really important that there's no +1 attack on the way for Winter. BongBong is about to have his, and that makes his roaches substantially stronger. And now we can see him just trying to take advantage of that speed timing.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that Winter did this, and he got a good couple of shots off. And of course, we know that roaches snowball in a big way. So Winter being able to kill off all of these forward roaches is a big deal. But the thing is, BongBong, as you said, has third base established and has more roaches backing this up. So if Winter suddenly thinks he has a big advantage, he's wrong. He doesn't. We're seeing Burrow coming out of Winter, actually. He's going to go for tunneling roaches because, of course, they get the claws automatically now.
Yeah, and I don't know how many you've seen in beta, but these things are rocket ships on creep, especially with the speed upgrade. He's going to try to trade out here. BongBong should win this fight pretty handily since he has that +1 attack. But man, bird roaches, if he survives to do some harass with them, they are very, very deadly in the beta.
Yep, I would certainly agree with that. Lair is, of course, up for BongBong. He hasn't grabbed himself any overseers yet, but I think it's just because he doesn't think he needs them. Winter needs to be very careful, though, because even if he does get Burrow, if he loses all his roaches before that happens, it's not really going to matter. And again, BongBong getting the better end of the trade here.
And the one thing that he needs to do is, well, that spine crawler wasn't actually rooted at the third base, but now that he has Burrow, he could try to use this as a micro for the health regeneration as well, and reposition them.
Is
no
Winter good
overseer
enough?
here.
Well, so far he hasn't done it yet. So, yeah, it would have been nice to see. A couple of those roaches shouldn't really have died. I think that Winter may be panicking a little bit there. He didn't really control that as well as he could. In fact, he's actually going into a bad concave here. So, Winter's still not using Burrow. Like, does he not realize he has it? Because he just lost a bunch of roaches for no reason. And BongBong now has a significant lead.
I mean, his roaches have like those fancy shiny grills on them, and now he's going to go for the counter attack. Yeah. It's they're hard not to notice. So this roach counter attack needs to do a lot of damage, and since there's no spores or overseers on the map for BongBong, this could still do a lot. Like he could very easily split these roaches between all three bases and just go ham. And I still think that'd be effective, but he somehow needs to not die back at home too.
Yeah, he's got a hold here, and yes, there is a spine up there, and there is a queen backing this up, but he's also almost got like no units whatsoever. So we're gonna have to see some really fancy roach micro. I'm not sure he's really capable of it. And now he is attacking the main, and he's also striking. He's actually striking all three bases by the looks of it, but not in a particularly dedicated way. And I don't know how much damage is really going to get done. If he can hold at home with the defender's advantage, then he might be in a good spot. This is actually...
It's not going to happen, though. I can't see it.
Did you notice? Winter's roaches, like, they don't actually have the spiky grills on them, even though they have Burrow. You notice that?
They definitely did for a little bit.
I don't see the difference between the two. Like,
I saw some glowing parts on some of them.
Maybe that's a bug in the beta. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, BongBong rolls over Winter in a pretty predictable win, I think, there, honestly, for the Prime players. But... yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, honestly. It's like I don't know if that was broken or if he just didn't know he had it. Strange.
Yeah,
very strange.
He ended up using the Burrow so late, but the other thing was, as nice as something like Burrow is, if you want to get it that quickly, you're really opening yourself up to big pushes like that, because it wasn't like he had a lower, like a really, really inferior roach count at the start of things. Like he made that good push back, but then BongBong being able to push back with the +1, so like he needs 2 less volleys to kill the other roaches, is pretty game changing. Much more so than Burrow, I feel. Burrow's more of a late game upgrade. Even if you don't, even if roaches have such fast access to Burrow move, it's still not something that you want to rush out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it work in a couple of games, but in this case, it just didn't do the job. I mean, BongBong obviously overpowered his opponent there. Winter wasn't able to use Burrow to micro. What was really strange, and I don't know if this was on your screen, but none of Winter's roaches actually had that upgrade, the visual upgrade, even though Burrow was obviously working, so I'm really not sure what that's all about. It's probably a bug. I was actually having some other bugs. The half of the hotkeys weren't working for displaying things on the UI, so... might have had something to do with that, but whatever the case, we'll be moving over to the Korean server now so that we can see what could be the match of the evening. I'm glad we actually got to this point because we get to see Yoda versus Rain. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SHOUTCraft Clan Wars. We do indeed have our ace match. Thank God. I was a bit worried that we wouldn't have that either, honestly, considering.
It would have been a little bit worrisome, to say the least.
I think at that point I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to Counter-Strike. I've had it. It's enough. No. I can't handle this anymore. But thankfully we do have ourselves an ace match, and it's going to be an interesting one. Prime's got a real shot at it. Kean's looking for redemption, and he's going to take on Ariam, the young North American Protoss.
Yeah, Ariam is... He's a cheeky little feller. He lives super close to where the studio is for WCS America in Burbank. I've hung out with him a few times. I had the pleasure of getting wrecked by him in the SoCal lands. He pretty much wins all of them. He's very, very good, very talented. He made it to Premier once last year, and then he wasn't allowed to even try to qualify this year because...
He's too young, right?
He's too young, yeah. The combined regions, German work labor laws, basically, it's like, no, you actually can't have a 15-year-old flying across the world and being paid thousands of dollars. Apparently, it's illegal in Germany to do that, so he has to wait. His birthday's in, like, August, so he'll finally be 16 and he can actually compete again.
Well, there's another casualty of the merging, I guess, isn't it? A bit of an untold story, but there you go. Well, he is going to prove himself here against Kean. Kean didn't look great earlier, so... This is an even weirder map. This map, if you haven't practiced this map, it is a complete mindfuck, frankly. That's the only way I can describe it. It's out of this world in terms of its originality, and we're going to see whether or not Kean and Ariam can handle it. The countdown has now begun. Peninsula will be the ace. Can Prime steal this? Did they even have a right to steal it? Well, it looks like they are on the road to doing so. Let's have a look at the map intro, and we'll come in with the final match. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the wrong button. This is the right button. There we go. I always forget to switch over from beta to Starcraft 2 in XSplit, but there we go. Alright, Nathanius, one of these maps is not like the others. Do you see something a little bit unusual going on here?
You know, something seems a little bit off to me, TotalBiscuit. It would appear that there are only 6 mineral patches in the main.
Man,
that half of
really
them are gold.
Map. That's crazy. Oh, the gold. Wow, yes, I did notice that. There we go. Yeah, so half of them are gold, and that's the case on every base. They are hybrid bases, which means that every timing in the game is officially broken. All of them. None of them.
There's more money. There's more money on the gold patches too.
Yeah, there are. There's loads. It's crazy. So you can do all sorts of things. Kean goes with 11 racks into... Actually, that might be the 10 racks. I think it was actually a 10 racks from Kean into a very quick gas. I like that move. That's potentially interesting. There is a way around this map, but it's a long road. If you don't want to go through the center, you've got to... It takes a while, let me put it that way, to get over. So, Reaper is not a bad opening start, I think. It's less... You'd think maybe you could hop... I don't think you can actually hop across these areas here. They're pretty much blocked off. So a Reaper actually has to go all the way around the side of the map if it wants to get anything done here.
This is the one that you were telling me about. You have the eggs by those mineral lines that you can mineral walk as scout across the map to actually scout. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot else aggressively you could do. I guess the one advantage of being Protoss is that warp in, right? You could try to use this for an early gateway push if you really think about it, just because, you know, the other guy can't get any units to your base anytime soon.
Yes, I mean, that's something that could work, certainly. I could see that being a pain, but I think the Reaper's the correct response here, because Ariam can mineral walk, and he's done that. Unfortunately, we still have a bug with GameHeart, where the egg actually shows up as a white square. We're really not sure what actually causes that, but it is the case, so some people are going to be saying, well, what the hell's that? Yeah, it's a white square. It's actually an egg. It has, I think, 200 HP, and it's got the armor of an egg. You know, a regular armor of an egg. So, it's pretty hard to kill it. Frankly, you need something with heavy hits in order to make that happen, and Reapers don't have them, Zerglings don't have them, Zealots don't have them. You need something a bit bigger. The Reaper's on the way over. You might also see some cameos here. This map is actually full of little Warcraft 3 Easter eggs. We've got the Dark Portal. I think there was a Death Knight in the corner there.
Oh, wow. My lack of experience with Warcraft suddenly coming to...
Disgrace. Disgrace.
The only Warcraft game I've ever played is Hearthstone TotalBiscuit.
That's not a Warcraft game. That's casual filth is what that is. That's why I play it, because I'm terrible at video games.
This Reaper's getting some work done, though.
Oh, man,
Already
yeah.
1, 2 probe kills.
You might get 3.
I mean, a third is just grossly unacceptable. This has been a really... This is already, I would say, like a mess.
Okay. He gets the probe,
Gets a
though.
third kill.
What do you
That's
reckon?
like
Is that worth? Is that like, it's like an even trade, right?
Considering how hard it is to get across the map, I'll say it's reasonable. I'll say it's reasonable. Like, as a Terran, normally you don't want to, but for a map that is like this, that doesn't seem like it really favors Reaper play. Like, in my mind, I see it as, would Kean be able to get it back in for a follow-up scout? And to me, the answer is probably not. So throwing it away in that instance isn't bad, only because Ariam doesn't have anything hidden out on the map.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he doesn't have anything hidden, because this is an amazing map for that, because of that ability to mineral walk. You can put things in the most absurd places that wouldn't really be expected. So it's a bit surprising not to see him exploit that. He's actually just going for straight up blink, which, to be fair, is like Ariam's go-to build in my experience.
Yeah, if there's one thing that Ariam is really, really good at, it is blink control. I think back to the elimination match where he knocked Revival out when he did play CS Premier League, and he basically killed him with just probably some of the best blinks that I've ever seen, straight up. He's very good at his stalker control. You know, that seems to be like a trend amongst a lot of the younger players, is that they have really good micro, but the macro mechanics or the decision making is where they maybe slip up a little bit more against more experienced opponents.
You see Kean's supply depot placement? It's crazy. I haven't seen anyone do that. I guess he wants to keep an eye on that area to make sure that it doesn't get broken down.
Yeah, he's looking out for any potential probes. And actually, ooh, I love this, because even though nothing can really cross this,
You can warp
this Marine
across.
on the right side, yeah, he can warp across, but if the probe tries to mineral walk through, he can't really get through. And this Zealot even, can he not hit? Okay, the Zealot can hit it,
yes.
but...
But it's rubbish. I mean, you see how little damage that egg's taking? It's an egg. It's got 10 armor.
And
you can't kill eggs.
And it has
with
regen too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So it's...
You
don't get much done there. But, I mean, that pylon's going to be a problem. There is... I love the Widowmine placement, though. Like, anything that warps in is going to take huge amounts of damage. This is a great play from Kean.
Ooh.
Fantastic
That was
play
phenomenal. He gets the Stalker, and he peels all the shields off the Mothership core, putting a little scratch in the paint on that one, too.
Yeah, Kean woke up. All right, we've got a game on our hands, folks. That Widowmine is gonna die. That was a bit of a miss micro there. Never mind. Maybe I spoke too soon, but Kean is on the way out with drops. I mean, it's a great drop map for obvious reasons. I mean, why the hell wouldn't you drop on this map? But there is a significant force of Stalkers. Now Ariam's mineral walked across, and he's put a pylon across the map there.
That mine is such a big problem because the detection is so far away. He won't have an observer out in time before it fires off again, so he'll need to look back here to make sure it doesn't take another big mine shot. But at the same time, there's still Marines in his main.
Yep, there's a couple of Stalkers moving in. He's getting the probes around here, but he's getting some kills. I mean, it's not the world's greatest drop, but he got, what, 5 probe kills there? And as you said, that Widowmine is going to fire again, so that guarantees at least another probe kill. And Ariam's timing is pretty much impeccable here, but look at the amount of lost mining time he's going to have here as well, you know. Oh, look at that. Perfect timing. Out comes the Observer Chrono Boosted. There we go. Kean finds a pylon, and he's going to try and kill it before anything else warps in, but I think he's a little bit gun-shy because he realizes, hang on, there's probably units there, and he's right, there is. He's got to back off. I like this Widowmine heavy play here from Kean. It's definitely helping to slow down Ariam, but Widowmines against Blink Stalkers with proper micro, of course, just don't really work very well.
Yeah, the one thing that's nice is...
Oh, God.
Yeah, he just needs it to buy time. Like, he has his stim so close to finishing, and his first getting another medevac out. Like, just having even one medevac is huge for being able to pick up and drop any marauders that might be sniped.
Yeah.
Like, I like Kean's position quite a bit.
Yeah, he's looking
He's
good.
not mining his natural, but he has like the tech that will win him a fight, 5 minutes from now, whereas Ariam, he has the robo facility, but he's only just not taking his extra gases from his natural.
Yeah, I do like the fact that Kean pulled a lot of SCVs. I mean, this is definitely a lot of indirect economic damage that Ariam is doing, but do bear in mind that if Kean properly micros his workers, he can mine from the gold, which will compensate quite nicely for the fact that some of his workers are off. And, I mean, I think Kean's got enough marauders to hold this off with Stim and a few medevacs. That should do the job. And he's going to drop on the other side of the map here.
his sensor tower, though. Like, he's like, okay, you left. And now he's killing that depot. So he knows, oh, okay, I don't need all my SCVs sitting here trying to get ready to prepare. I know exactly what you can throw at me, and I know where it would come from if it was coming at all.
You don't usually see a sensor tower against Protoss, frankly. It's a bit of a weird decision here by Kean, but Kean's playing... I don't think he's practiced this map per se, and I don't think, but most people wouldn't really necessarily have a reason to practice it if it's going to be the ace match. It's probably not something. Both players supply blocked here, which is hilarious. Ariam's heavily supply blocked, actually. He's building 5 pylons now, but look at this stim. Wow, so much damage.
Oh, boy.
8 workers and more going down.
The mothership core not in position at all to defend against this. He doesn't even care about the stalkers. He's just like, okay, just target down probes, boost the medevac away.
He killed 16 probes. That was a huge drop. Absolutely devastating. Well, we said Kean had woken up, and he has. And mYinsanity are going to be having words with Rain after this, because Rain, I think, just cost them the series. Like, this shouldn't have even gone to the ace match.
Yeah, this is a really, really uncomfortable spot to be in. Kean actually, like, he could load up into medevacs, or he could try to drop mules on this. Like, can he kill the egg yet? I guess he can.
Yeah, he's got firepower. He's got a tank and marauders, so he can do the job. Yeah, you can mule it. You've got to use a mule and an SCV, because I think mule takes, what, 30 minerals? So you need a SCV there as well, but he's broken. The main problem is the concave. Like, the Blink Stalkers can pick off units as they move past, because that's a very, very small gap. But I don't think it necessarily matters, because I think, honestly, Kean's just got too many units, and he's able to kind of crash through. I love the tank support as well behind that. I mean, that tank's basically immune to zealots, which is just ideal. But nice
got to try to target down the marauders. Yeah, but is it going to be enough is the real question. Kean's also focused fire down the stalkers that are off cooldown for the blink too. He does eventually clean all the bio up, so that's pretty impressive to say the least, considering that, Kean's army is, for all intents and purposes, better. But you pointed out that funnel that he basically choked all of his units to really hurt him.
Yeah, it's a shame he didn't try for the mule SCV trick, because opening up a mineral field gives you, like, I think it's like 3 units across worth of space to move through, which would have been much, much better, I think, for Kean. And Kean probably wouldn't have, I wouldn't say lost that fight, because bear in mind, Ariam's trading, and he has a worse economy. So I think that Kean still gets the better end of that, but Kean could have actually overrun his opponent instead of just being held to a standstill. And that's given Ariam time to work on Colossi.
Yeah, that's a really, really comfortable position to be in. He has to use the medevac to move the tank across, and having those 2 Colossi out now is very, very important. The one thing he does not have is his range yet, though, and I still think that makes him really vulnerable to even just like a big drop play, since the Colossi won't be able to come up and help anytime soon, and since he doesn't have enough units to actually spread out and cover both of his main and his natural.
Yep. Ariam looks like he may be able to pick off some SCVs over here, but it's this big Doom drop that I'm worried about. I mean, it's going right towards the main. Even 1 warpin's not going to be enough, because there's just so much here, and Kean's actually sieging on the low ground as well, which is maybe a bit unnecessary, honestly, and I don't think it's actually going to help him that much, but frankly, he's going to kill this pylon in the corner. He's also trying to bait in and try and get a Widow Mine shot off, and he is able to do so and kills the Zealot with it, but this is a lot of units on the left-hand side there that Ariam has to contend with.
No, I like that he actually attacked his own Zealot to get the splash on top of that mine to finish it off.
Oh, hello. Colossi have arrived, and he did manage to get the extended thermal lance finished just in time.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, Ariam is slowly... Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's slowly making a bit of a game out of this. And one thing that always makes me nervous when I'm watching Terran vs. Protoss is that Ariam has focused really heavily on the kill you upgrades. He's going for +2 attack. He's getting charged now. But there's no armor, which means this is not one of those, oh, he's just going to spam out Zealots to hold off drops and whatnot. It's like, actually, Zealots die pretty quickly when the Terran player has an upgrade advantage versus them. So I'm a bit concerned. He has to use really good control to keep those units from getting into his base.
It's amusing to see Kean long-distance mine against this. Again, if he just used a mule, he would have been able to mine one of those out completely. But here comes the big Doom drop again here from Kean. Photon Overcharge already active, though, so I don't actually see anything really happening here. The Colossi come in to back that up. But he did hit the 3rd as well, and there's no defense here. Ariam is having to pull probes, and that Nexus is going down.
Yep. Really, really nice play by Kean. Knocking down the Nexus. These probes, most of them should be able to escape. He starts some pylons. Well, I guess they actually went back to mining, so I guess most of them are going to die now. But those medevacs are still waiting up top, so as the whole army moves over to engage him, Photon Overcharge runs out, and he can just drop in again.
The pylons were a little bit strange and dicey, but he was supply blocked again, so he had to do it. Now at least he has a forward defensive warp-in point, but here comes another drop. Kean's going for it again. He's looking to try and pick off the Cyber Core, and he gets it. So no Stalkers for a little while.
Yep. They're really preventing him from also I guess he has all the tech that he needs to move forward, so he doesn't need the cybernetics core for anything in that department. I don't think we're going to see a Stargate anytime soon, but he's coming up to deny the third base again, and he's picking off these very expensive Stalkers.
Yep, he grabs a few. He is forced out. I mean, Kean could have probably committed to killing that, but he would have lost almost everything he had there. So I don't mind him not killing it. I mean, he has a 50 supply lead. Why throw it away by engaging and forcing... I mean, really, if you kill the third of a Protoss, you kind of force the Protoss to all in you at that point, which is maybe not the best idea. And Ariam's army is of significant tech worth, certainly. But just look at the size of Kean's. I mean... He's got a good Viking count here as well. I don't think we've got to the number of Colossi where a Bioball just melts at this point. Nice Blink Stalker warding by Ariam, but he doesn't have the numbers.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have the numbers that he needs. And with the way that this map is laid out, you just have this giant area where the Stalkers, they can't blink under the Vikings. They can try to get close, but they can't get that close. Like, maybe he tries to break the rocks. I don't know. These force fields are pretty solid, but he's starting to lose his Colossi.
Yeah, he needs to kill... he's actually using the Stalkers to fight the wrong targets, and he actually lost 3 Colossi as a result of that. He was actually firing on the Marauders instead, whereas the force fields actually held them back. So now Kean is just barreling through, and it looks like Prime's going to steal this one from right under the nose of mYinsanity, and they take it 4 games to 3. There you go.
Really well played by Kean, though. I think
great game.
Great job of... what was most impressive to me was just when you're playing on these maps that are, you know, not what you're going to play on ladder, not what you're going to play in GSL or SL or any qualifiers of Pro League. He looked at it and he said, okay, you know, I can't get anything through here, but he had the Marines positioned and that depot just in case anything tried to get through for Ariam, because as Protoss, you only need that one worker to get in to basically create, you know, the massive wormhole of units that's never going to stop flowing into your base, and Stalkers also being able to blink across those. So it was really good map awareness, but not in the usual sense, to be safe in the early stages.
Well, I gotta say, like, I'm impressed by Kean. I don't think Prime's showing was necessarily incredible, but frankly, I think they did really well in the 2v2 to hold off against that really quite creative strategy. And we saw Kean put on a really good clinic there of Terran versus Protoss. I mean, that's always been his match, right? I mean, he's great at that, but after we saw him get obliterated by Kane, I was a little bit worried for him.
Yeah, that, I honestly, you know, in team matches like this, I always wonder to myself, like, when they send a player out in the ace that's not someone who already won a match in that series, it's always a little bit surprising me, because I feel like, well, I guess Kane had to go, so otherwise I would have liked to have seen him get sent out again.
I imagine they would have sent out Rain if they actually had him.
Yeah, if they could have sent out Rain or Kane, I think they probably would have sent them out.
Yeah, I imagine that neither were probably available at that stage, so, I mean, is Kane still in Europe at this point? I actually don't know where he is right now.
No, I think he's at home, but he said he had, like, something that he needed to do or whatever in the chat, so he's like, I have to play my match in SHOUTCraft, and then I have to go, so I'm guessing, like, Penguin was probably like, Kane, can you play? He's like, sorry, I'm, like, on a date or something. It's like, damn it!
Well... Yeah, that was a bit of a heist, I think, from Prime. Like, Prime goes down 3-0 and then brings the reverse all kill. And all credit to them, they did the job, even if they had to do it off the back of a forfeit. But that was closer than it really had any right to be, and mYinsanity could have run over them very easily, I think, if things hadn't gone their way. And you've got to give credit where credit is due to BongBong and Creator for turning that around and really getting the momentum back in favor of Prime there, because that could have been embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that's, like, the most important thing, because honestly, I thought that this match was over, like, 4-0 as soon as those DTs got warped in outside the main base of Winter, and then they just walked all the way back.
Ran back.
Raiders main. Yeah. I'm like, why would they do this? Like, he's not for defense. Just he didn't realize that the pathing was blocked, so his DTs were like, gotta go around the whole entire map.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of... These maps are advanced. It's as simple as that. They've got a lot of interesting features, and we actually see... I think it's a weird StarCraft 2 thing. I don't think, like, in Brood War, you always had to pay attention to the pathing of your units because, well, the pathing of the units was terrible. So you had to babysit them a lot more than you do in StarCraft 2. I think a lot of players have got too much reliance, really, on units doing the right thing. But on these maps, they don't, necessarily, because, yeah, there may be rocks that collapse over the natural ramp. And maybe your guys just turn around and run off. You can't just rally point them in.
Yeah, it was very tricky. It was a lot of fun matches, though.
It was a comedy of errors, man. It was.
Yeah, I still, I hadn't quite realized what we were signing up for watching that first map. When I'm like, oh, is he gonna like 2-racks? I'm like, this is too early for a 2-racks. I was like, why are 2 SUVs on the map? And then I realized,
It's a sick move. I mean,
that's awesome.
There were quite a few really awesome moves in this series, which I really enjoyed. So, big thanks, of course, to the teams for participating. But mYinsanity, well, they might have to have a few words with Rain, because Rain just cost them that series as far as I'm concerned. And I think if they'd got Rain, and really you roll the dice on Rain winning 1 out of 2 maps, which is pretty likely, then you're in a good spot. But unfortunately, Rain did not show up. So there you go. Well, mYinsanity do get another shot in 4 days' time when they face off against Root, and we do have the lineup for that already. Kellozer will take on Blisk, followed by Igers versus Ariam. 2v2 is Marsa and Katz versus Winter and Ariam. We then have Solo taking on Kane. Supernova versus Queenie. I'm not one to call a mismatch, but that's going to be a really hard map for Queenie. It is Legacy of the Void, which I guess does make things a bit different, but Supernova versus Queenie on paper is a bit of a mismatch.
Yeah, that's a really tough one, especially considering Terran versus Protoss in the beta right now.
Jesus Christ. If Queenie picks that up, that's going to be upset of the century, so we'll see if that happens. And then Marsa versus Winter. So I'm again concerned about mYinsanity, because I'm going to be honest, that is mYinsanity. That's not a particularly strong lineup from mYinsanity versus pretty much like the greatest hits of Root. They are missing out on Hydra, because I think he's out for DreamHack or something. But they do still have Igers, who is a great. They've got Marsa and Supernova. So I think that this is going to be a pretty tough one for mYinsanity. Outside of that, on May the 13th, we've got Team Baguette taking on Spenu, also known as Startail. And then we have a new team entering the fray, Complexity IG. So the Chinese team teaming up with Complexity to take on Axiom on May the 18th.
Good stuff. Really excited for those matches. I'm, of course, got my root bias. So
natural root bias, yeah, of course.
Yeah, my natural.
When
root
are we going to
bias.
see Nathanius fielded for root? When's that going to happen?
We've talked about it. I'm ready. Honestly, if they wanted, if they were afraid to get, to have 2 one-sided of a match, I'd talk to Supernova if you want. I don't even know if that's possible. I would sub if I could. I've got a flight to catch to France this weekend, so it might not be doable.
Yeah, hopefully we see Nathanius in a future Clan War. Of course, these are going on all year, and there are 4 more unannounced Clan Wars for this month on May the 20th, May the 22nd, May the 24th, and May the 27th. So plenty of Clan War action coming up for you in the month of May. Big thanks, of course, to the guys over at MLG TV. They're sponsoring $5,000 a month, which is, of course, $60,000 a year in prize money. That's huge for the Starcraft scene, so big thanks to them for doing that. And, of course, we have mYinsanity walking away with a consolation prize of $100 and $400 for the guys over at Prime. So they pick up their first win here. A bit of a shaky one, so hopefully we see better performance out of Prime in future matches, but they got the win, and a win's a win, ultimately, so we'll see what they can do in future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching SHOUTCraft Clan Wars. If you missed any of it, reruns begin in about 5 minutes here on lg.tv/SHOUTCraft, and of course, spoiler-free VODs available on youtube.com/TotalBiscuit. And there's loads of more Clan Wars content over there. There's like 10 more Clan Wars to watch if you missed any of them. All of the VODs are spoiler-free, and they're all in one video. So you just click them, you watch the whole thing, no breaks, no spoilers. It's great. It's a good StarCraft experience. There's like 10 hours of StarCraft there for you to watch. And big thanks, of course, to Nathanius for co-casting today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Interesting, very interesting match. I like the maps a lot.
Well, we're a little bit unusual here. That's all I can say. So, it's always nice. I think after you've cast like 50,000 of the same tournaments on the same map pool, it's nice to see some weird stuff, and we like to do that.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I had a good time today.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll see you casting or playing in a future Clan War. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Big thanks to the audience for coming out tonight. You are very much appreciated. As always, remember to click the follow button on MLG.tv to be alerted of future Clan Wars. Reruns begin in about 5 minutes' time. Good night.